Hello, Mr. Munden here. I am going to go through your checkups on multiplication of fractions and division of fractions, just to make sure that you have a good overview of the procedures to do the multiplication and division, and also a better understanding of what the models look like on these word problems. So let's go ahead and get started. For part 1 here, I need to find each product and show my work. This first problem is 2/3 times 4/5. As you remember, the rule for multiplying fractions is simply to multiply straight across. Multiply your numerators by your numerators and your denominators by your denominators. So here I'm going to do 2 times 4 over 3 times 5. So this is 8 over 15. And that is not able to be simplified, so my final answer is 8 over 15. B, 3 3/4 times 2/5. One common mistake is that students just do 3 times 2, 4 times 5. You have to remember that 3 3/4 is a mixed number that you need to convert to an improper fraction. So to do that, I'm going to do 3 times 4, which is 12, then add it to my 3. So that gives me 15 over 4 times 2 over 5, which again, you multiply straight across, and I get 30 over 20. This can definitely be simplified or reduced, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by 10, and I have 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is the same as 1 and 1/2. Moving on to C, I have 18 times 5/6. 18 is not written as a fraction, so I need to write it as a fraction. 18 is 18 over 1, because any whole number can be written as a fraction over 1. So I have 18 over 1 times 5/6. Once again, I multiply straight across. 18 times 5 is 90 over 6. I'm going to try to simplify this. I notice a common factor between 90 and 6 is 6, so I'm going to divide by 6. And that gets me 15. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So I have 15 over 1, which is, of course, 15. So to recap on these types of problems, when you're multiplying fractions, simply just multiply straight across. If you are dealing with mixed numbers or whole numbers, just turn them into improper fractions. So for this last item on here is this tricky word problem. It says, Caroline had a pan of lasagna 3/4 full. Some friends visited her and ate 2/3 of what was in the pan. How much lasagna did her friends eat? Use a model and a number sentence to support your answer. So to make this clear for you, I'm going to use a different color as I'm making my lasagna tray. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show my lasagna tray that is 3/4 full. So I'm going to shade in 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. Okay, so her friends visited her and ate 2/3 of what was in the pan. So they ate 2/3 of this stuff. Now, one way that I can show that I'm splitting this into 2/3 would be to turn my lasagna tray this way and make my 2 cuts to split it into 3 chunks. So as you'll see now, my thirds is what I'm just covered now in red, or outlined in red. And we'll remind ourselves that her friends ate 2/3 of what was in there, so I'm going to shade in my 2/3. That's 1/3 and 2/3. So you'll recall that when we make an area model or a brownie tray model for multiplication, our product, our answer, is going to be the part of the picture that has been shaded in twice, so the overlap portion. And that portion is what I'm circling now, this part. And we'll see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slices out of, we need to find the total number of slices that would have been in this lasagna pan had we cut it like that. So that means there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 6 out of 12 slices, or 6/12 of the pan. But I'm not done, because 6/12 can be simplified. My common factor is 6. So it's actually 1/2 of the pan, which is my final answer. Before we move on to division, I want to go over a couple of more fraction multiplication models just to make sure that you have a good understanding of it. So let's go ahead and try 3/4 times 2/5. Make it a little bit more challenging. 3/4 times 2/5. So again, I'm going to use a brownie pan model. So I'm going to draw my box. I'm going to split it into fourths. So 1, 2, 3/4. And I'm talking about 3/4, so I'll shade in 3 of these fourths. And now I need to find fifths of that 3/4. Easy way to do that would be to spin my brownie tray around and chop that part into fifths the long way like this. And we're talking about 2/5, so I'm going to shade in 2/5 now. Alrighty. Now remember, my product is going to be what was shaded in twice, which are these boxes. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. 6 out of 20. I can reduce by a factor of 2, and I get 3/10 is my product. Alrighty, let's move on to division. And this is the checkup that you would have taken in class just this week. So once again, I'm going to go through these first few problems, which is just the computations, and then we're going to move on to the division word problem at the bottom. So this first one is 2/3 divided by 4/5. Now I'm going to remind myself that this is asking me how many times does 4/5 fit into 2/3. How many groups of 4/5 are there in 2/3? You'll recall the trick that we use to divide fractions is copy, change, flip. This means I'm going to copy the first fraction, change to multiply, and flip the second fraction. So let's do that here. I'm going to copy 2/3, change to multiply, and flip 4/5, so it's 5/4. Now I just have a basic multiplication problem that I can use to multiply straight across, and I get 10/12, which can be reduced by a factor of 2 to 5/6. Next, I have 3 3/4 divided by 2/5. Again, you need to make sure that you're working with fractions, whether or not they're proper fractions or improper fractions. So I don't like this 3 3/4. I need to turn it into a fraction. So I'm going to do 3 times 4, which is 12, plus 3, which is 15. So that's 15/4 divided by 2/5. Now that I have two different fractions, I can go ahead and do my copy, change, flip business. So I'm going to copy my first fraction, change the division to multiply, and then flip 2/5, so it's 5/2. And then once again, I'm going to multiply straight across. So 15 times 5 is 75. 4 times 2 is 8. So my quotient is 75/8. Once again, I need to convert this to a mixed number, so I'm going to see how many times does 8 fit into 75. Well, it can fit in 9 times, because 9 times 8 is 72, with a remainder of 3. So my answer here is 9 3/8. Now moving on to C, I have 18 divided by 5/6. Once again, this needs to turn into a fraction, so that's 18/1 divided by 5/6. Once again, I can copy, change, flip. So copy my first, change to multiply, and then flip that over, so it's 6/5. And now I can multiply straight across. 18 times 6 is 108 over 5. I'm asking myself, how many times does 5 fit into 108? It fits in 21 times. 21 times 5 is 105. You need 3 more to make 108, so my remainder is 3. My denominator is 5. So 21 3/5 is my quotient there. Next is the word problem with the modeling. So Johnny is making pizzas. He has 1 5/6 cups of mozzarella cheese. So I'm going to write that down. If he uses 2/3 of a cup of cheese to make one pizza, how many pizzas can he make? So that means 2/3 cup is one pizza. So I'm going to visualize what Johnny is doing. He has this big bowl of mozzarella cheese, and each time he's going to take out 2/3 of a cup each time to make us a pizza. So it takes out 2/3 of a cup, 2/3 of a cup, 2/3 of a cup. So we want to see how many cups he can make. So I'm seeing how many times does 2/3 fit into 1 5/6. So my division problem is 1 5/6 divided by 2/3. Again, how many times does 2/3 fit into 1 5/6? So my model. I need to model the whole. What am I starting with? I'm starting with 1 5/6. So I'm going to draw one whole, and I'm going to split this into sixths. I'm going to draw another whole, split this into sixths. And I'm going to recall that I've got 1 5/6 cups, so I'm going to shade in one whole. And now I'm going to shade in my 5/6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got my one whole and 5/6. Now I want to make groups of 2/3. So I'm asking myself, how many times does 2/3 fit into this? Now my model is showing sixths. To make it easier for me to show this, I need to turn this 2/3 into sixths. So 2/3 is the same thing as 4/6. So what I'm looking for now is, can I make groups of 4/6 in this model? So I'm going to go ahead and start circling groups of 4/6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one group of 4/6, which means I can make one pizza. I can't make one there. Let's take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/6. So that's another pizza. So it looks like I can make 2 whole pizzas. But take a look over here. I've got three sixths of mozzarella cheese left. My answer is not going to be 3 out of 6 bits of mozzarella cheese. My answer is going to be, how much of a group of mozzarella cheese is this? We know that a group of cheese is made up of 4 of these little boxes. And how many boxes do I have shaded? I have 1, 2, 3. So that means I can make 3 out of the 4. So that means my quotient here is 2 3/4 pizzas. I can check my answer for my model by doing the actual division. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 5/6 divided by 2/3. So again, got to turn 1 5/6 into an improper fraction. So that's 6 times 1 plus 5, so that's 11/6 times 3/2. And I get 33/12. 12 fits into 33 2 times. 2 times 12 is 24, so that means my remainder is 9 out of 12. And I can reduce this by a factor of 3. So I get 2 3/4 pizzas. Same. That means my answer here is correct. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have additional questions, please do not hesitate to come and see me. Best of luck as you study.